Okay, so this is coming from Reddit, and this is 11 of the scariest ghost stories from Reddit. So if you guys look for the link on there, I'll put it in there too. So if anybody wants to go back and read the rest of these, we're just gonna grab a couple of these stories. Neither of us have read them, and basically listen and respond. Kind of a chill day today. I'm pretty tired. I don't know about anybody else. It's Monday. Anyway,
My stomach hurts. I had some hamburger helper and it's just rumbling. Rumbling.
it is not helping, is what it's
It is
not
not
doing.
helping at all. I'm gonna turn off the lights, make it scarier in here.
I love it. And I like that the poster behind you looks really cool and kind of creepy.
Which one? That one? Or
No, the other side, yeah.
it's like
With
an Autobot or an autom don't see, you know
I,
what?
g-
No,
I-
the nerds will come
mm-mm,
for me. The nerds will come for
no.
me and
We
I will
just
get
got canceled right there. Just end the episode right there. Okay, so from the 11, couldn't be 10 by the way, it had to be 11 scariest stories
11.
of Reddit. This is called The Walking Dead. I'm a psychiatric nurse, and early in my career, I worked at a residential mental health facility. One of our residents was an elective mute, which means that he didn't, wouldn't, or couldn't talk, but there were no medical reasons as to why. He had spoken earlier in his life, and in fact seemed quite normal back then, with the exception of being close to 7 feet tall. He'd been raised in the Deep South and joined the military when he was 19, but one night he vanished. He was declared AWOL. And eventually he was declared missing and dead. 10 years later, a 7 foot tall man walked into a VA hospital emergency room in my part of the Midwest and said to the receptionist, "My name is Marion Duchesne, not the real name, and I've been dead for 10 years." Those were the last words he ever spoke. He was covered with dust, and he was wearing the same clothes he'd been reported to be wearing the night he vanished. His social security number had not been used, and he had no identification on his person, sorry. However, they were able to identify him, I guess, via fingerprints. The family was notified, but they said that they had already grieved their lost man and that whomever was claiming to be him simply could not be. They demanded not to be contacted again. Marion paced all day, every day, moving his mouth that looked like talking or muttering, but no sound came out. He had an unnerving habit of throwing his head back with his mouth wide open, as if he were laughing heartily, but not even a breath could be heard. If I talked to him, he appeared to listen, periodically throwing his head back in that laughter mimicking way of his. Various medications were tried, but they did not affect him either positively or negatively. Occupational therapy did nothing because Marion would just grin, and unless told to stay put, he'd get up and start pacing again. On my last night at that job, the last thing I saw was Marion pacing in the parking lot, throwing his head back to quote unquote laugh. Later, I wondered if all along I'd been dealing with a ghost. All these years later, I still don't know. Hmm.
First of all, that's messed up. His family's like, nah, I mean, we already were sad. We don't want to have him back.
How
So
did I know that'd be the first thing that you would point out from this frickin' ghost story
well,
was like,
they're like, we don't know if that's him. It's like, oh, how many 7 foot people do you know in the world? There's got to be like what, seven of them? Seven
oh,
7 foot people? Like,
and how many people named Marion? First of
right?
all,
Like,
let's talk
come
about
on.
the name.
You know what it is? Is they got that life insurance money from the military and they didn't want to give it back.
Okay, listen. I'm crying a little bit now. His family basically said, "Listen, we're not taking this random person back into our lives, even if he is our son." They probably didn't even care for him to begin with if he was a mute. They were like, he can't even talk. We've got the money. We're not interested. Like, how do you just
I don't understand
I
people like that.
yeah, I don't either. It wasn't scary. I'm not gonna say that was even a scary story. So like I'm not sure who made that list because
It was just
that wasn't
weird.
scary.
The
But
scariest part was the fact that he would throw his head back and laugh. I think it was
right.
more he was screaming.
Also, like, maybe he was autistic and not mute, and so these people just,
Yeah.
like, didn't understand.
Yeah, I mean it was back in the
Also,
day, right?
yeah, but also, like, the person telling the story, so you saw him in the parking lot, right? So this is the very end of the story. You see this man in the parking lot, quote unquote, laughing. Is there, like, what happened to him? Did he stay at the hospital? Did they put him in psychiatric care? Like, you're telling me this man walked in off the street, said one line his whole entire life, and you guys just were like, okay, I guess you are who you are, and did nothing else?
Yeah, I
This was,
honestly, I mean, that's how the VA treats the soldiers nowadays.
oh, dang, we're going there. It's
Bare
true,
minimum
though.
care. I mean, and if you think if this was back in the day when there was like a war, like if this guy really was old, um, probably around Nam time,
I
this guy was
guess,
in
let
the
me
shit
see.
and he got crazy. He was crazy and they barely got care back then. So
They
I'm
didn't.
guessing that's what it was. It doesn't
His
say when,
social,
but
no, it doesn't say when, and it doesn't give details. Um, man. But here's the thing. So she starts off her story. I'm a psychiatric nurse, and early in my career, I worked at a residential mental health facility. One of our residents was an elective mute. Da 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 da. But that's that's it. And here's the problem: if he was mute, he wouldn't have been allowed in the military.
it says elective
Yeah,
mute.
but
Maybe
in the you would have to be able to talk to join the army.
Yeah, but maybe he wasn't a mute until after, like I said, maybe he was traumatized, PTSD, shell shock,
Oh.
yeah. And then
Hmm.
after the war, he was like all messed up. And that's why he was acting crazy. I mean, guys came back from Vietnam like messed up. That was such a messed up
True.
war,
That's
So
true. Okay, so not scary, interesting, not
interesting,
scary, but
weird,
sort of
but
puzzling. And I think maybe whoever wrote this, if it's true, you should have given us like some more details or something.
I think so. I think they thought it was scary to them because they actually saw it in person. So to see this guy acting this way was probably really freaky to them. But because they didn't really give too much detail, they didn't write too much detail. To us, it's like, oh, that's weird. However, I appreciate that they used grammar and periods and
Yes.
commas.
We are so bad at this.
Well,
Even if the story's good, we're like, yeah, but no, because of the way you wrote it, like I can't deal
I'm
with
like,
this.
it would have been great, but it's one long run-on sentence because you used zero punctuation. So I'm gonna skip it. I'm gonna scroll.
And
I can't.
also, okay, so like he just paste and paste and paste, and occasionally threw his head back to laugh or quote unquote laugh.
I think it was screaming. I think it was screaming
Later, I
silently.
wondered if all along I'd been dealing with a ghost. But
I think it's metaphorical. He's a metaphorical ghost because he's
I
no
think
longer the
so
person that he was.
too. I think so too. I think that's a ghost story of like not particularly that person, but the men coming back from war who
Hmm.
just were changed. So
They're one
again, not
person.
scary. Whoever ranked this as the 11 top scary, you were wrong. Sorry. Sorry to the people who wrote
That was a good
this.
story, though. That was a good
But it was
story.
cute. No, it was really cute.
Yeah,
But this is kind of what I love about Reddit and why I've been wanting to do this with you for a while is you can get some rando really good written fiction
I
on
know.
Reddit. Like depending like you and I had other stories that are super long, way too long for us to read today, but I would have read the one about um this boy and his brother because
Mhm.
it's so well written and it's such a randomly good story. I'll probably put the link for it anyway. But that's what I love about Reddit. Sometimes you win and sometimes you lose with Reddit, and you're never sure where you're
Yeah,
at.
you do. You sometimes you
Okay,
get on there and you're like, man, this person should be published, but they're not. And
right,
you're like,
right,
wow, because I'm hard to scare. Like when it comes to like movies and stuff like that, like it's hard to scare me. I'm so
right,
jaded. And I get more scared by reading, I guess, because like I can imagine more in my head. So if you're able to
right.
help me imagine more by your writing, then I'm impressed because If you can scare me in your writing, I'm impressed. That's what I
Okay,
mean.
that's what I'm saying. So like the idea of this story, pretty cool. I would have loved to see like more detail and
I
like
would
I
have
don't
loved
know.
to like see more detail in my head by
Yeah,
reading.
to that's what I'm saying, like to imagine it. I was just like reading a paper plate right now. Like there was nothing to it. So
Yeah,
but
more
again,
detail.
more power to anybody who's actually writing stories and putting them out there for people.
I know because I have so many stories and I don't write them down. So I should
I
just shut
know
up
you
because I can't even
should.
talk. I know. I
I've
know.
been telling you this for years. You're such a good writer. Anyway, today's not about us though, Mallory, okay? All
What?
right, what are you going to read from 11 scariest stories of Reddit?
Okay, so this story, and I actually did read this story when I was going through this list. This is one of the ones that I read, and I love it because it's just a different version of this same story. Um, which when I read it, you're gonna be like, oh my God, this is in every scary storybook. Like this is the urban legend of all urban legends.
But you
But
know we love a good old folk tale that
yeah, it's
shifts
there
over
you go. It's like a
time.
folk tale.
Yeah.
There you go. And it's so great. And it's obviously not going to be very scary anymore because it's like we've heard it 1,000 times, but I still love these ones. So, anyways,
Okay.
all right. This one's called It Was Good to See an Old Friend. When I was 37, I went to my high school reunion. I flew into the nearest airport and rented a car. The distance was about 35 miles through a very rural and almost abandoned part of the country. About 3 miles outside of town, I see someone on the side of the road flagging me down. It turned out that it was one of the guys I attended school with. Jim, not his name, gets in the car and we start talking. I had not seen him in 20 years, but he still looked the same, maybe a little older. We get to town and I ask him if he wants to come to the VFW and have a drink. He says, nah, just take me home. Jim's parents had lived only a few blocks from my grandmother's house, and I turned in that direction, but he said to take him to the outskirts of town. There was a mobile home park out there, and I figured this is where he lived. When we reached the end of the turnoff, he said, just drop me here. It was good to see you again. And he walks off into the night. I go to the VFW, met some of the old classmates. We start to talk. As we're talking about who is coming to the reunion, I mentioned that I had just picked Jim up 3 miles east of town and had dropped him off. Everyone gets quiet. Even the guy singing karaoke stops and lays down the mic. My cousin goes white as a new t shirt. Barb, Jim died on that curve 8 years ago, rolled his car. We were all at his funeral, I was told. I started to feel really dizzy, and I went out to the car to take some deep breaths. There on the seat is a local newspaper printed 8 years previous containing Jim's obituary. I still have the paper. So I
Oh,
mean, this is one of those stories where it's like, oh yeah, I
okay.
met this girl on the side of the road and I took her
Yeah.
home and they're like, she's been dead for 5 years. And
I actually love that story.
yeah.
That is one of those stories that yes, we've heard since we were like kids and it's always a different character and a different relay.
Yeah.
But that was a good one. Okay, okay, I'll give him points for that one. That was a good one.
Yeah, I
That's
love those
that's
ones. I love
that's
those.
such that's such a like we don't want it to happen, but we kind of want it to happen to us someday.
Oh yeah, like except I don't like the ones where they pick up the girl with like the scarf on and then like they have a relationship with the girl and she won't let them take the scarf
Yeah.
off and then like they're like I'm going to take your scarf off and they do it in the middle of the night when she's asleep and then her head rolls away. Like I don't
Mhm.
like that one.
Mhm.
I mean I like it, but it's scary.
I like any, and we've done a couple episodes on like urban legends that have been made into
Mhm.
movies and like all this stuff. I think the reason we like them is because that was my first foray into like scary stuff. Was like my older brothers and sisters telling me these dumb little stories like about the kids parking in the parking lot and he goes out to listen to the noise and he's hanging
Mhm.
from the tree and like all of
Yeah.
those really cool stories.
It's one of those
Oh,
stories that you would find in like scary stories to tell in the dark. The Alvin Short
yeah.
books. Yeah.
Yeah, like or the spider lady, she had the big zit on her face and it
Oh,
pops and the
yes.
spider comes out. I love those. All right, I'm
Me
kind
too.
of actually having fun, so I kind of want to read another one
Okay.
if you're if you're good with that. So this is on the same list, but it's short, and I kind of am interested now. It's called "It Wasn't a Little Girl." which is like a
Okay.
good creepy title, by the way. So it reads, I was camping with my husband and his family at a small, remote lake in New Mexico. There were about 10 people in our group and another group of 6 people in the next campsite. It was nighttime, and both groups were doing typical activities, making s'mores, having a few drinks, and telling stories, when we all heard what sounded like a little girl yelling out for help. Neither group had children with them, but we were all positive we were hearing a little girl and decided to search the area we heard the noises from together. There was a field behind our campsites, and we all saw a very tall, pure white figure standing maybe 100 feet away from us in the field, making the noises. We all agreed this thing looked maybe 6 feet tall, skinny, and white as can be. We made our way closer to investigate, but whatever it was that we saw started backing off as we got closer and it disappeared into the trees. All night we continued to hear a little girl calling for help as we tried to sleep. Mm-hmm. I like that
Mm-mm.
one.
Oh, me too. But mm-mm.
First thought though, why are you going towards it? Why are you trying to investigate this? Have we not
You
learned
were
anything
of the
from these scary
Caucasian
movies?
persuasion.
Oh, they said, "Oh, let's go look for the noise together."
Yeah.
Like, let's go search for the ghost together. Let's leave our safety of our campsite.
Mhm. And nobody
And
put on
then,
shoes, and everybody go out in their underwear too. Yeah.
yeah, and usually somebody's totally blazed up. That person's an idiot. But also, like, you see a 6 foot tall person making the noise. I would immediately get in my car and leave, even if it was like a
Yeah.
real person. What is a 6 foot tall person doing in the field in the middle of the night making crying noises?
Exactly. Exactly. They're up to no good. And they always tell you that even if it's a real person, they always use like the sound of a crying baby to attract women out of their houses or like help, help, that's a way that people do it to get you to come out of your house because you think you're looking for somebody who needs help and then they get you.
Yeah. Okay, wait. Haven't you and I talked about this? That that I've heard babies crying. Have I ever told you this?
Yeah,
Like,
but you told me that you thought it was your kids. Like it didn't scare you that you thought it
no,
was.
no, no, no. It didn't scare me, but yes, now that I'm thinking about it, it's scaring me a little because how creepy that it would use a crying baby to get your attention. Like that's the most
Because you're a
innocent.
woman and a mother. So of course you would go crying baby. It makes your mom instincts kick in. So you do
I don't
stupid
like
things
it.
like go outside in the dark.
I don't like it. That actually just made me sad.
No, it makes me pissed because if that baby, first of all, I ain't got no babies no more. So if I hear a crying baby, that's not my problem. That's that crying baby's problem. I'm not going
Okay.
outside. I'm not trying to get killed.
Okay, a timeout. And actually, sidebar, we're entering that phase of life where and listen, I'm trying to be nice when I say this. I don't want to hold your baby. I don't like I don't want to hold your baby. I don't want to talk to it. I don't want to play with it. I'm not
Yeah, you're
trying to be
like, oh,
mean.
it's cute. Okay, bye.
I'm like, "Oh, you're so adorable. You want to hold her?" No, I don't.
I'm good.
I
I'm
don't. I
good.
want you to keep that thing away from me. And like I have 3 kids. It's not like I hate kids. I love kids. But I don't ever want like the crying baby, the bottle, the smell of the formula, none of it. I'm so over all of that.
Yeah, me too.
So
I mean, I've told Eugene before. I'm like, aren't you curious, like what our child would look like? And he's like, no. And I'm like, I'm
yeah.
curious as to what it would look like. And
Well,
I see babies and I go, oh, and then I remember I would know what the baby looks like within a few minutes, and then the baby's like, oh, and then that's another couple minutes, and then I would be done with that baby because I'm done with that part of my life.
right. That's what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
it's not a hit on new mothers or anything like that. And this is totally not
Oh
related to
no.
scary stuff, but it's like the phase of life where I did that. I'm done. And until my children have babies, I just have no interest. Like my uterus, I hear women being like, "Oh, my uterus is like crying." They heard a baby crying, and I'm like, "Nope, mine shrivels up to the size of a tiny little grape."
Yeah, mine's just
It's
going.
like, it's like, look, I'm coughing dust, okay? There's babies cannot
My
be eaten.
eggs are all hard boiled right now. Okay, that's
We're ending there. We're ending there. I'm done. Oh man.
no.
She
But you say,
said,
oh, this is not related to scary stuff. No, can you imagine being pregnant right now?
"Oh,
Terrifying.
heck
That'll
no.
be the
Heck, oh,
scariest story ever.
oh my gosh. Okay, top 12 Reddit scary stories. Holly and Mallory got pregnant.
At
Okay?
38, we're dead.
Hell no. Hell no. I am so glad that we had our babies when we were young and
Oh,
too stupid to know how hard it is.
me too. Yep, me too.
Anyway. All
Because now
right.
we're
Do
old
you
enough
want
to be okay about it.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I know how much it takes to actually care for a baby now.
Mhm.
Nope.
We did it while we were stupid, and now we're old
Yep.
and we're smarter and we have more money and we can enjoy
Yeah.
being adults.
Yeah. I have adult money now. I'm not
Yeah.
spending it on a freaking baby, okay? I kind of want to keep Do you want to read a couple more? They're kind of
uh
fun.
yeah, let me see. I'll read the demon. Wait, hold on.
It's kind of fun to go through these. I don't think they're going to be necessarily super scary, but I think it's fun to just kind of go through them.
Okay, so I'll read this one. Evicted by a ghost.
Okay.
Evicted by a ghost on Reddit. Okay. Shortly after college, I got married. We immediately moved into a basement apartment because that's all that was available within our budget. This place had a poltergeist, and my wife was terrified. Whatever resided there with us made it clear it wanted to live alone. Dishes, glasses, and other items would fly off the shelf. My wife was hit several times. There was always an ominous feeling like we were being watched. At night, when we walked through the apartment in the dark, there would be insanely bright flashes of light that would illuminate the entire room. One night while we were going to bed, as soon as my wife and I walked into the bedroom, we heard a voice from nowhere say, "My name, move." My wife looked at me, I looked at her. I said loudly, "You've got it, bud." We moved out 2 days later and stayed with family. The old lady who owned the place died a few months later, and the house was torn down. It is still an empty lot to this day, nothing but grass and a tree. I still drive by it every now and again. I mean,
Mm,
they did the
yeah.
right thing by moving out when it told them to move out, but like I would have been gone the second that first plate hit me in the face. Like,
Okay. So, um, gosh, this is a pretty good one. This
yeah,
place had a poltergeist and my wife was terrified. Okay. So, dishes, glasses, and other items would fly off the shelf. Why do they always got to be breaking the dishes? Jeez.
because
My
it's
wife
scary.
was hit several
Stationary object.
times. Oh no. Okay. Sorry, I'm just like kind of rereading it because I was like, wait. Bright flashes of light that would illuminate the entire room. What ghost or entity lights up a room?
I think it was just trying to scare them. It was just trying to do things that nobody wants to see their glasses fly off the shelf. That's not what they normally do. Like bright flashes of light, it's disconcerting. So you feel like you're
Oh, I guess that's true.
in the house. Yeah. So they like I said, they did the right thing. They moved out when it told them to leave. But they really should have left earlier.
Yeah.
They really should have
Well,
left.
if it were you and I, we would have walked in and immediately felt it and said, no, not for us. Thank you very
Not for
much.
us. Or you
But
know what? Maybe I would have stayed because I'd have been like, you know what? This is old news, dude. Like it's a cheap
you're not
apartment.
you're not the
Yeah.
first. I
Yeah.
won't be the last. Move along, buddy.
Yeah.
Okay,
Move
move
along.
along. I do like this though. I love this is also kind of one of those stories that people have kind of just taken time to like redo and redo and redo and I
Oh yeah.
love a I love a good story about not necessarily an evil entity but like a spirit that died badly, like a person who died in rage or anger who
Mm.
haunts the house. Like this is why we love The Grudge. You
Hmm.
know, she stayed there because of how she died. And I think there you could take from this story and really run with it and always make it interesting, I guess.
Mm.
Yeah. I like it. I want to do a little bit more research. I probably won't, but I want to see if like these are true stories or not. It doesn't say on here. It didn't say like on the thread if it was like true
Um,
stories.
if I had to guess, because of how well written they are and of how vague and sort of like generic they are, like that one I read, which was like, that story's been told 1,000 times. They just changed the names.
Right. Right.
And then this too, a poltergeist. Oh, I got hit with dishes and they said to leave, so I left. These are kind of generic stories that are just like,
Yeah.
you know, old classic,
I
but
I think these would be fun, and hear me out. If you had a younger kid, like my youngest is going to be 10, I would
mm,
read these stories to my youngest if he were interested in scary stories. Like you said,
yeah.
like scary stories you tell in the dark. This is a bit not
They're
immature, but
innocuous. They're safe.
yeah.
They're innocuous,
Yeah,
yeah.
safer. But I would not consider this 11 of the scariest ghost stories from Reddit.
Oh God, no.
Like,
I've read some on
yeah,
there that I'm like, I need to get on a different website to like cleanse myself because they were so scary. I needed to turn on
right,
like the Golden Girls or something. It was just
right.
too much.
Like, I will say the writing was good. Not the scariest stories I've ever read, but I love when anyone puts the time into like taking stories and making like a list of them, and then people like you and I who like I'll just be sitting down in line or something, and I love reading these, and I don't have to do a lot of work to like
Exactly,
read
because
them.
we appreciate that they've all been put together for us because we're too
Yeah,
lazy to do that ourselves. So it's
yeah.
all in one place. I'll take what you give me.
Right. So this is why I was saying we should do more of these Reddit stories because I I'm a little bit lazy and I not in the way that I'm like, oh, I don't want to do the work, but I'm like, I want to read someone else's story and comment on it because
Hmm.
sometimes doing a movie review takes some time, folks. Okay, like I have
It
to
does.
pay for the movie and dedicate the 2 hours, and a
Yeah.
lot of times I'm disappointed. So I think we should do some more of these, and we'll go find. Can we do the work? We'll go find two
God damn it.
scary. I know. Like I want to. Am I going to? I don't know. Stay tuned for that.
I just have to get on Reddit. I really just need to buckle down and just get on there more.
I know.
It's
Nathaniel
because you
has an
have to
account.
weed through all the crap, through all the ongoing sentences.
Reddit is like a discombobulated Twitter.
Yeah.
Like it's just comment after comment after comment, but if you click off the thread, you never find it again.
Don't I know. And that's the
You know what
part
I'm
that
saying?
sucks. I could even put in like scary stories in the search bar, okay? And then the whole night I'll go through it. And then the next, I'll forget to save the story or whatever, screenshot it. And then the next day I go back, I put in scary stories. It's gone.
Gone. Gone.
A completely different arrangement.
That's why when we were trying to get ready for this episode, I sent you the two that I found because I was like, I will never find these again. So I
Um,
saved the whole entire URL, which is so old school. But I was like, I know tomorrow I'm going to type in the same exact thing and not find it. But I do think there's a place for if you and I could find some really good scary stories from Reddit, I would love to read them. I think it's really relaxing actually to like just kind of listen to someone else read a story. But if it's a scary story, I'm much more interested. So
oh yeah, for sure.
maybe we'll do the work.
Maybe.
Maybe. Is Reddit for us? Are we there? We're almost there.